Okay, we're discussing an interesting case. They found a machat, a needle in a carbon. They shafted the carbon. They found a machat in the basar. The kohen obviously cut it up with a knife, and the halacha was the edus of Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim was that the basar is tamei, the person is tahar, and the knife is tahar. We went ahead. We said it's speaking about either a machat that was a suffix tumah because the animal was muzzled and it came in from outside Yerushalayim and it didn't eat anything in Yerushalayim, so the machat is a suffix tamei, right? And we also had a pshat that it was speaking about where you knew it was something that was tamei, you knew it was tamei, and so the question was, so if it's tamei, why is the person not tamei? Why is the knife not tamei? And we said because it's a suffix tumah. That the Azora had a dinner of Rishus Harabim, so it's a suffix whether they touched it or not, and Sveikoi Tahar. That's where we ended off. The Gemara is still analyzing that case, and it wants to know how did the basa contract tumah. We know in order for a food stuff to contract tumah, it has to be mukhshel kabel tumah. So we're handling with where was the point that this meat was mukhshel kabel tumah, that the machat would go ahead and transfer tumah to it. So we're on Chaf Amid Aleph, 2 lines from the top. Spread the Gemara. Hi, basa diskasha b'mai. What did this basa? How did this basa attain hachshara, preparation for tumah? He named it diskasha b'dam. If you're going to say the blood, now there's 2 possibilities of the blood. It's either the blood of the carbon or the blood of the butcher house, the basement of the chaya. How do you know dam kochim is not machshir? Shenemar, it says by dam loisechlenu, do not eat it. Al oretz tishbechenu kamayim. You should go ahead and throw it on the ground. Dam shenishbech kamayim, dam that spills like water on the ground. Machshir usheinu nishbech kamayim, and dam is that's not machshir kamayim, such as the dam of a carbon which is miskabel bekli Kabbalah, so it's not nishbach kamayim. It doesn't have the capacity to go ahead and be machshir in a machshir. The ela must be this kasha b'mashke basement b'chaya, the water and or the dam of the basement b'chaya. Rabbi Yosef Chanina, mashke basement b'chaya, the dam and the water found in the butcher shop in the Beis Hamikdash. Like dayin shein dochin, not only they themselves are tahar, but ela shein machshirin, they do not go ahead and machshir. So back to the original question. The machatz metama the meat. Where was the meat miskasha to mikabel tumah? Ve'ela diskasha b'chibas hakodesh. Chibas hakodesh means that we hold kachim in high esteem. We hold kachim in high esteem. We're machshiv it very much. The chashivas that we give to the carbon, that itself is machshiv. That's why we're going to see eitzim and levoina, which are not oichlim, are mikabel tumah through the halacha of chibas kodesh. And for Fred the Gemara Akasha on this teretz, when does chibas kodesh help? Chibas kodesh helps regarding only passing a guf. In other words, what can chibas kodesh do? It can go ahead and make something tamei, but that's it. It puzzle. It stops there. It cannot go ahead and make something tamei to continue down the line, or can it? So apparently from Agimara, when it says that the basar is tamei, mashma it's not puzzle. It's mashma the basar can go ahead now and create other tumah, transmit tumah. So therefore you could be paishit a shaila that from Agimara that chibas kodesh, which is mashma the basar, could in fact instill in it the ability to transmit tumah. Now that wouldn't be a problem except for Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish had the following shaila that says the Gemara, the boy Reish Lakish. Srid shel menachas. You have a mincha, and usually mincha is bolul b'shemen. It's intermingled with oil, and you have a pocket of flour that did not go ahead and touch the oil. So the question is, where did it get preparation for tumah if it didn't have an oil on it? So you'll say that what? You'll say it was hefsha. You'll say there was chibas kodesh. And Reish Lakish says a shaila. Can we go ahead and say that srid, that pocket of flour, can it transmit tumah? And he has a shaila. So why wasn't he pushing the shaila from here? We say the basa got its hachshara through chibas kodesh, and it says it's tamei, mashma not puzzle, but tamei So why did Reish Lakish use this Mishnah by Inidius, by Machat, to go ahead and be Paishir Shaila? And he wasn't. Tirsha Devar Reish Lakish Tzrit Shol Menachas Moinim Barishin V'Sheni Alai. I'm Rabbi Yehuda Mishmuel. So therefore, it doesn't say Ella, but it's mashma the getting off the teretz. It says, I'm Rabbi Yehuda Mishmuel. Kigon Shahaisa Para Shel Zivchei Shlamim. We're speaking that he had a para that was a Zevach Shlamim. Now the Baal gets to keep the skin. In order to go ahead and get and skin the animal, you want it as hydrated as possible. So what did he do? Ve'avira minaha. He put it through a river, the shachta, and then he shechted it. And therefore, vadayin mashka tefeich aleha. The mashkin from the river was still dripping upon it, right? So therefore, that was the way it was muksha lekabel toma. So the bus is kodesh. We're getting off the teretz of chibas kodesh because the Rabbi Reish Lakish would have used it to be placed the shaila, and it couldn't be the liquids of the carbon. It couldn't be the liquids of the butcher shop. It's the liquids of the river that the Baal intentionally. And again, fachshara you need kiyutan. It's got to be that he wants it on it. Here's zicha, he wants it on it because he wants to facilitate an easy skinning. Veil is very geschmack. That liquid is mashed in the pasa, be makabel tuma from the machat. We said in Heshi Shtel on this yesterday. I wonder why he did. The peresh, the excrement of the animal, is tahar. In other words, if the needle is in the excrement, it's not mitama the animal. Gemara has a kasha. L'chayra, if it's a liquid, so why don't we say the needle is mitama the peresh, a liquid peresh, that now becomes a rishon, and it should be mitama the basa. So what do we say if you find a needle in the peresh? It's tahar. It should be mitama. The needle should be mitama the peresh, and the peresh, the liquid peresh, should go ahead and be mitama the meat. Says the Gemara. Nimsa beperesh. If you find it in the peresh, hakol tahar. Fred the Gemara about nahad the peresh from it maya lebasa. Let the excrement go ahead and be mitama the basa. Some Rabbi the peresh ava. We're speaking about thick peresh. It's not a liquid. Ravashi amafilu tem beperesh racha. Mishum davi mashka seruach. It's a mashka that what is seruach. It's a mashka that is not. It's not a mashka. It loses shem mashka. We had this earlier by the paraduma that the para that drank paraduma. So we said it lost the shem mashka. That it's not matama. Even forget else paraduma namatuma. It's not matama as a mashka because it lost the shem mashka. So too over here, perish doesn't have a shem mashka. Therefore, it can't be matama the basa. Therefore, it can't be matama basa. Okay, we're up to chacham and aleph. Before it gets y, two lines up. Tani Tana Kameder of Sheshes. Sheretz mitama es mashkin. Sheretz kami mitama mashkin. Umashkin mitama es kli. V'kli mitama es oichlin. V'oichlin mitama es mashkin. V'lamadu sholish tumish b'sheretz. Now, so let's instead of wasting time, let me go to the videotape. Okay. Here's what the Gemara just said. A sheretz can be mitama mashkin. Kimitama kli, kimitama an oichel. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fred the Gemara, why do you say 3? We have 4. Sheretz to the mashka is 1 transmission. Mashkin to the kli is a 2nd transmission. Kli to oichel is a 3rd transmission. And oichel to a mashka, I think we have another mashka here if I can pull it up. There it is. And the oichel to the mashka, the 4th transmission. Good. For the Gemara, you said 3, not 4. And for the Gemara, take out this step. Take out the mashkin. Not a sheretz to a mashkin, a sheretz to a kli. A sheretz to a kli. For the Gemara, why take out that step? Why not take out this step? And you'll also have 3. Remove this last one. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Who held that a mashkin came with tama kli? Going back to our machloikis, it wasn't Reb Meir. He said across the board, everything was tahar. It wasn't according to Rabbi Yosef, Reb Shimon. They said a kli is tahar and ochel is tamei. The only one who said it was Rabbi Yehuda, who said tamei tamei. If you remember the chart, the hodlevei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda had charata from this guys. Rabbi Yehuda had charata from this step. The Meila makes more sense to take out this step than what than the latter mashka. It's geschmack. A sheretz. Mashkin can't be Matama a Kli. It can't. So therefore, take out this one and you'll have 3. So take out this one, you'll have 3. 1, 2, 3. That's the Gemara. And the Gemara says this is the way you make beer. You take a sheretz, you take a Kli, you throw in the barley, then you throw in the liquid, as opposed to the liquid before the barley. So that's the Gemara. With this little chart, we'll understand the Gemara very easily. Let's see it inside. Tani Tana Kamed Rav Sheshes. Sheretz Mitam Es Mashkin. A sheretz can be Mitam the Mashkin, step 1. Mashkin Mitam Es a Kli, step 2. The Kli Mitam Es Oichlin, 3. Oichlin Mitam Es Mashka, 4. You learn there's 3 possibilities, transmissions of Tumah by a sheretz. Fred the Gemara, Hani Abohen. They're not 3, they're 4. They're not 3, they're 4. Says the Gemara, Guz Mashkin the Resha. Take out that first step. Not from Mat. Take out the first step, right? Not from Kli to sheretz to Mashkin. Take out the Mashkin. It's sheretz to Kli, right? It's sheretz to Kli. Says the Gemara, Adarabba, Goyiz Mashkin the Seifa. Let's take out the last one. Let's take out this one, the Mashkin over here. It says, the Seifa, Layash Kantana. We don't find the Tana the Oma Mashkin Mitama Kli. We don't find the Tana who holds this, guys. This step, Mashkin to Kli, El Kli, El Rabbi Huda. Only Rabbi Huda, he was the only one. Ahada Bey, and he had Charata. Guys, remember he had Charata because of the Becha. The Becha, there's the Toich of the Becha and there's the bottom of the Becha. You invert it. And he said, if you use a mashka on the bottom, the top is tahar. Why is the top tahar? If it's tummy the rice, it's the raisa. Mikoyach that he had Charata. Again, the whole sugya comes back. The simunecha, the simon to remember that you're going from a kli to an oichel, and with a kli to a oichel, and not a kli to a mashka, is nezaisa, it's beer. First you have the kli, and then you throw in the barley, which is an oichel, rather than a liquid. Water you don't throw in. Yes, Papa Weiser, right? Yes, for Papa, how do you go in and make beer? You're going to go ahead, right? You're going to take the barley and the hops, and you're going to put it in. How we doing? It's a nice little break in the action, right? The rest of the Gemara, again, guys, we're going to finish the parak today. Everyone smile. Right? We're going to finish. Shalom. You're talking about a freilich in Chanukah. Jack, we don't see you. We don't see the smile on your face, Yankel. Yankel, let's see a smile. There you go. Okay, we're going to finish the parak today. And the Gemara, if you remember the Gemara from the other days, it'll go glad. And if you don't remember the Gemara from the other days, I'll explain it to you. So everything is good. So that's the Gemara. Tan Hasam. Sheretz Nimsa Betana. Okay, guys, let me give it to you outside. This is a big question by every case of sheretz. When you have a kli and you put the sheretz in the kli, what we say is the kli contracts tumah from the sheretz and becomes a rishon, and the rishon goes ahead and makes the food in a sheni. That's what we said till now. Why don't we say when the sheretz goes in, it like fills up the whole pot, and therefore the food will be a rishon as if it touches the sheretz directly. That would make sense. In other words, since we're saying that it's matama in the airspace, why do we say the sheretz is matama the kli, guys? Why do we say the sheretz is matama the airspace, and the air? It's like as if the sheretz is touching what? The oichel, and the oichel will be a rishon. Why don't you say that? You learned the answer to it. What happens though I have a sheretz in a kli and I have a kli within the kli? That kli is not going to be metabel kabel tumah. You know why? Because one kli can't be metabel another kli, but a sheretz could. Ella, the fact that the kli inside the kli remains tahar is a raya that it doesn't. It's not like it's touching the sheretz, because that's will be tameh. Again, it has to be that it's going from the sheretz to the wall, because if it's going directly in the kli, then there's no difference whether it's a food in a kli or a kli in a kli. The kli would be makabel tumah from the sheretz. You see, it's not from the sheretz; it's from the wall of the kli, and one kli can be makabel another. So that's how you know. Says the Gemara inside. Tan Hasam. Sheretz senimsa b'tanur hapasha b'soifei shniya. The pas that's in the tanur is a sheni. B'fei shatana tchila, because the tanur is a rishon. Let's view the tanur as it's filled totally with tumah. To have a high pas rishona, and the pas also should be a tchila. I don't know why it switches from the lashon of tchila to rishona, but it should be what? It should be a Rishon. So Amalei, if you can't say that. The Tanya, of course, Yachal, I would think. I might think all Kalim that are within a Klicheres should receive Tuma Amideis. Tamaloimar, Kol Asher Besoicha Yitma. It says anything inside is Yitma, it's Tameh. The Samachle Mikolo Eichel Asher Eichel. Then right next to it, it says Eichel. And we darshin, Eichel Mitamam Abba Klicheres. Guys, if you have time, this first Rashi is an excellent Rashi to go through. It goes through a lot of Yesodis in Halachas Tumah. We're not going to do it in share, but this Rashi, it's a nice Rashi. Put it down. You have a little time. This Rashi will give you many Yesodos that we from this parak and other prakim regarding halachas of Tumah v'Taira. Okay, very good shema. Now, Rav Chisda Rami Pischa a Pischa. Okay, now, Rav Chisda Rami Pischa Pischa. He's going to ask a steer from Pesach to Pesach. Umishani is going to answer. Now we're going back to the Mishnah. Let's go back to the Mishnah on Yedalid, and because it's been a while since we saw it, approximately six and a half hours ago. So let's see the Mishnah on Yedalid, because in the conversation. So Umayda Rebbe Lezer Bishur, right before the Gemara, go up about 4 lines. It says Gemara, the Gimel Mem, go up a few lines. Umayda Rebbe Eliezer Rebbe Yeshua, Shesarf and Zula Atzma. You burn them separately. Aman Nechliku, where's the Machlaikis? Al Hatluyev Al Tameya. You have Truma, it's a suffix whether it's Tamei or not. We'll call that Truma Teluya. It's state of suspended animation. In other words, you can't eat it and you can't burn it. Either way. If it was Tahar, you could eat it. If it was Tameya, you could burn it. But since it's Teluya, I can't. So they both, there's a Machlaikis, whether it's Teluya, there's a Machlaikis. One second. It seems that the Teluya, that Yeshua says Teluya and Tameya you could burn together. You don't have to burn them separately. But if it was Tahira and Tameya, you would. Good. Now, we're going to ask a stira on that. Let's now go back to our daf. Let's go back to our daf, to Chaf on the base. Rav Chisda Rami Pischa Mishani. Umi Amar Rav Yeshua, Shteim Ka'achas. The Rav Yeshua say that what? They're two as one, meaning you can burn the Tuluya and the Tameya together. Ureminu Alesu Estira, Am Rav Yosi, Ein Nidun, Ein Hanadon Doimilaraya. The Nodon that you're judging is not similar to the Raya you're bringing. Shekashiidu Rabbi Seinu Amahi Idu. What was Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Akiva made it on? Okay, guys, look at me. I'll remind you. An avatuma, according to Rabbi Chanina, an avatuma touched a food, it became a rishon. You had a shlishi, and Rabbi Chanina said you can burn them together. And now, despite the fact the shlishi is becoming a sheni, that was Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Akiva said a bigger chiddush. You have a lamp that contracted tuma was an avatuma. It contracted. It was a metal lamp. It touched the tumas mace. It's an av. You're putting a shlishi in it. That shlishi is going from a 3 to a 1. So Rabbi Chanina went from a 3 to a 2. Rabbi Akiva said, now, a 3 by truma is puzzle. It passes. A 3 by kachim is tamei. It goes down one more drega to a 4. So, like Rabbi Chanina, you have a 1 of kachim and a 3 of kachim, which is tamei. Both can go ahead and transfer tuma another level. Like Rabbi Akiva, you have 1 tamei, you have the lamp, and then you have the 3 of truma, which is puzzle. It stops there. Okay, but either way, it's not teluya. They're both tamei. Either way. With that in mind, let's begin. We have a stira. You say Rabbi Yeshua says you could take a teluya and burn it with a tameya. Let's see. Says Rabbi Yossi, meaning it's a shlishi. It's a rishon. That what it's a shlishi, shemalikin aisay b'ner, that you can go ahead and burn it in an air that's an avatoma, shenitma b'tamei, mace zeh puzzle, the shlishi is puzzle, Is that tame, and that can transmit tuma. In other words, we would be maida on truma that's tame, and we can burn it. Right? Maybe Elio is going to come along and say what? That it's tar. So how in the world could you burn Tulu Tameya? So we have the stira. In our Mishnah, we see what Rabbi Yeshua says you could, and here he says not. Umishani, Reb Shimon Ali Rabbi Yeshua. Our Mishnah that says you could is Reb Shimon according to Rabbi Yeshua, Reb Yosef Ali Rabbi Yeshua. And that Bryce that says you can't is Rabbi Yosef according to Rabbi Yeshua. In other words, there's a machlokes tanoim as to what Rabbi Yeshua holds. What's that stira? One more time. Look at me. Our Mishnah says you can burn it together. The other Mishnah, Bryce says you can't. We're saying our Mishnah is Rabbi Yosef according to Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Shimon according to Rabbi Yeshua, and the Bryce is Rabbi Yosef according to Rabbi Yeshua. That's the difference. Okay. The Tanya, where do you see a chilik, right? The Tanya, Yud Dalet, guys, we learned all this before. Yud Dalet Shchalias b'Shabbos, like this year, where the 14th day falls out on Shabbos. Mavirin as Hakol Mifnei Shabbos, you get rid of all your chametz before Shabbos. V'sorfin Trumois Tameos Taluyos v'Tahoros, you burn them all. Dira Remeya. Maybe Yisyomer Tahoyer b'Fnei Atzma, v'Taluy b'Fnei Atzma, u'Tameya b'Fnei Atzma. Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shua al Tahoyer al Tameya. Rabbi Shua, they don't argue on Tameya. Shein Sorfin al Taluya al Tahoyer. Just Sorfin. There you go. They don't argue, right? They don't argue. Shein Sorfin al Taluya al Tahoyer. Just Sorfin. Amanechlu al Taluya al Tameya. So here is the shita of Shimon that you can burn them both together. You can burn them both together. And the Bryce that said you can't deserve Yosef Rabbi Shimon. So I've read the Gemara. 1 second, guys. Let's go back. Mishnah Yudala. Go back. You have Reb Chanina saying his din. You have Akiva saying his din. You have Reb Meir saying his din. Rabbi Yossi says Rabbi Yossi, Einahi min Amida. Umayda Rabbi Eliezer, who's talking? It's Rabbi Yossi talking, and says Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shua Umayda, that what? That if they're one's coming, one's story, you can't burn them. But Taluya, according to Rabbi Taluya and Tameya, according to Rabbi Shimon, you could. Who's according to Rabbi Yeshua, you could. Who's speaking? Rabbi Yossi speaking. So how can you tell me the Mishnah is Rabbi Yeshua according to Rabbi Yossi? How can you tell me the Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon according to Rabbi Yeshua and the Bryce is Rabbi Yossi according to Rabbi Yeshua? Clearly in our Mishnah, it's Rabbi Yossi talking. Rabbi Yossi is the one who's saying that Rabbi Yeshua says you can burn Tluya and Tameya. How we doing? You gave it teretz. Guys, look at me. You gave it teretz. Our Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon, the Bryce is Rabbi Yossi. I just showed you our Mishnah is Rabbi Yossi according to Rabbi Yeshua. How can you say it? Big kasha. And for the Gemara, but Mr. Rabbi Yossi, Hachi Kamar. Rabbi Yossi, Hachim Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Meya. I feel Rabbi Shimon, Va'alibad Rabbi Yeshua, Demegal, even Rabbi Shimon, who is Mekel, who allows you to burn Truma Taluya in Tameya, Ki Mekel Betluya Tameya, Aval Betahoyru Tameya Loi, right? But Tameya Tameya not. Guys, what was the dialogue in the Mishnah? Look at me. What was the dialogue in the Mishnah? Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Akiva, both cases of Tamei, said Reb Meir, Midivrayim, from their words we learn you can burn Tahira in Tameya. Comes along Rabbi Yossi says, even Rabbi Yeshua, who allowed you to burn Truma, that was only Taluya in Tameya. So again, Rabbi Yossi is being made in our Mishnah like the Rabbi Yeshua, the Kula of Rabbi Yeshua, that he doesn't hold from. The Kula of Rabbi Yeshua that Rabbi Shimon says, that you can burn Tluya Tameya, he would not allow you to burn Tahira in Tameya. But the bottom line is, Rabbi Yossi answered up Rabbi Yossi, that the Mishnah is according to Rabbi Shimon, according to Rabbi Yeshua, and the Bais is Rabbi Yossi according to Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina Rami Truma al Pischa, he has the stira from Truma, that this means Taluya, Truma Taluya during the year, al Pischa, and burning Truma on Erev Pesach. Umeshani, and he answered. What's the stira and what's the teretz? Me on Rabbi Yeshua Shteim Kachas. Does Rabbi Yeshua say that you can burn Taluya in Tameya? Uriminu Aleshia stira Chav Yeshel Truma Shenolid Bas Safik Tuma. Right? You don't know. You put a chavias away. You find it uncovered. You find it in a different spot. Rabbi Eliezer, what should you do? If it was in an open spot, go put it in a closed spot. If it was open, you cover it. Rabbi Yeshua, you can open, put it in a hefketika place. If it was covered, you got leno. Perish. The whole sug is predicated upon there's a din of mishmerish trumasai to watch truma. Once a suffix arises, question: do I still have a mitzvah to go ahead and guard a suffix? Says Rabbi Eliezer, clearly you do. Says Rabbi Yeshua, clearly you don't. So therefore, Fred the Gemara Kasha, you say that what? By grama in be a dayim loy. What was I able to do by truma? Was I able to metamid be a dayim? It's again, this is truma tuluya, guys. You don't know if it's tummy or not. That's tuluya. Says Rav Shimon, what can you do? You don't have to watch it anymore. You can open it up. You can put it in a hefker place. Did he allow you to do metamid be a dayim? That's by truma during the year. What about our Mishnah? He said you go ahead, you burn truma tahira tuluya in tameya. That's biyadayim. So there's a stira. Does Rabbi Yeshua allow you to mamish do it or only to cause it? That's the stira. Truma during the year, grama, leave it open, put it in a hefkedik place. Versus Pesach, we allowed you to mamish biyadayim to be metama the tuluya. That's the stira. Umishani. And he answered, does Rabbi Yeshua say shtem ka'achas? No, I'm sorry. Umishani, Reb Shimon aliba de Rabbi Yeshua, Reb Yossi aliba de Rabbi Yeshua. We have a teretz. Who said you can be metayim b'yadayim? That's Reb Shimon according to Rabbi Yeshua. Who said you can only cause it? The Mishnah in Truma that you can open up the barrel. That's Reb Yossi according to Reb Shimon. So again, Reb Yossi being Machmir Reb Shimon and Reb Yeshua, and Reb Shimon being Mekel on Reb Yeshua. Same teretz. Says the Gemara again, Reb Elazar, Rami Truma Umashani. Reb Elazar, he goes ahead, he's Rami Truma, and he goes ahead and he's going to ask a stira. I just have to take a break for stira. The Reb Elazar, Rami Truma al Truma Umashani. He's going to ask a stira of Truma and ask an answer. Me on Reb Yeshua, grama in, be a dime low. Does he say that you can cause, but you can't do it directly? Uriminu, chavia shel truma shenishbara. Guys, this is the case of the yayin. You have the wine in the upper press. You have chulin tameya in the lower press. Rabbi Yeshua is going to allow you to take a kli that's tamei, stick it in, and they're going to be matama de truma. Kasha, why over there did he permit it? And why by over here did he only let you cause it? And the answer, of course, is going to be what? Hefsid Meruba, if you might remember, right? The difference, of course, you can take a big monetary loss over here. Chavi shel truma, shenish probigas al yoina. Tachtel chulin tameya. Moed the Rebbe Eliezer, the Rebbe Yeshua, shem yachal hatzal mimenu revius b'tayra. If you go yatzal, save it. V'im lav Rebbe Eliezer imeteri b'titame. He doesn't let you go ahead and be metame b'yadayim. Let it all go down and be what? Tamei. V'al yitamena b'yad. If Yeshua omer yitamena b'yad, go ahead and be metame b'yad. Guys, you have a stira. Guys, look at me. The chavi is that what you found that you suffix, whether it's tamei, we let you put it in an efkedik spot, we let you take the barrel, top of the barrel off. In other words, we allow you to cause it. We didn't allow you to do it via dayim. Over here, you're taking a kli, tamei take a kli, and catching the truma yayin, you're being metame it. Mehechates, you're able to do that. So we have a stira. Mishani, what's the teretz? Shiny hasam, it's different over there. Dika hefsit chulin. What's the whole reason that if all that truma falls in, it's gone. The zar can't eat it because there's truma. The kohen can't eat it because it's tamei. So at least save it. So now it'll be chulin tameya, which anyone can drink. The kohen can drink in it when he's not tahar, and then Yisrael can drink it anytime. Maskal Rava, Masnisanami hefsid eitzim. 1 second. You're going to start a new fire to burn them separately. You have the hefsid of burning the eitzim. For a large hefsid, so such as losing wine, lechayish, lehefsid mu'it for a small one, like chashashu. Umanot tamer de lehefsid meruba chashashu. How do you know lechayish for even for a large hefsid? Well, hefsid mu'it like chashashu de tanya. Chaviyat shel shemen. Same case, guys. Change shemen and yayin. Good. Same case. You got an olive press. You got chulin tamei in the bottom, and truma is dripping in. Chaviyat shel shemen truma. Shenis Rabbi gas al yaina ubetachtoina chulin tamei in. Moed Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer Moed Rabbi Yeshua. Shem yachal lahasl mimen revius b'tayre yatzel. Vim lav tered v'titma bial yitamena biyad. So first of all, l'chayre they have the order wrong. It should be Moed Rabbi Yeshua to Rabbi Eliezer, because Rabbi Yeshua is saying over here, I'm Moed you what? You can't save it. I'm Moed over here, guys, that you can't save it. Yes? I'm Moed you can't save it. So the Gemara will ask that later on. What do you mean Moed Rabbi Eliezer to Rabbi Yeshua? Rabbi Eliezer says you never could save it. Rabbi Yeshua said by Yayin you could save it. But Rabbi Yeshua is Moed by Shemen, you don't save it. What's the difference? Guys, by Shemen, if it becomes Tameh, you can still use the Shemen as a fuel. You're able to burn it as a fuel. So you don't have a Hefsid Meruba. Mashenki by Yayin, you won't be able to drink it, you have to have Hefsid Meruba. Now, Fred the Gemara, but you still have a Hefsid because you can use Yayin as an aromatic. You can spritz it. So L'chayr will let the whole thing become Tameh and spritz. So that's the Gemara we're going to discuss now. Now, Maishla Shemen, Maishla Shemen that Rabbi Yeshua allows you to go at, says you can't save it. The Roy Lahadlik, it's Roy fi Hadlik, so it's not a big hefsid. Yayinami Roy Laziluf, so it's not a big hefsid. The Chitema Ziluf Lav Milsahi, if you're going to tell me using it as an aromatic, that it's not, so therefore it's not considered anything. And vis-a-vis drinking, so it's what? Is not considered a save. So you see that what that it's you'll spend on it. It says speaking about nude, it doesn't have an aroma. So you can keep it until it gets an aroma. We're worried that you come to a takala. If you keep it around, you can't drink it. So why can you be mitamed shemen? Let's worry you're going to go ahead and use the shemen. It says you put the shemen in the disgusting dikakli. So since it's disgusting, you won't come to drink it. You're going to put it in a disgusting kli also. So therefore you won't come to drink it. And for you need it for zilif, kli moist, ramile. You need it for you need it for what? For zilif. You're going to put it in a disgusting kli? Of course you're not. So what do you see from here? For hefsid mu'it, like the shemen, we're not chayish. Hefsid meruba, like the wine, we are chayish. So we answered up all the steers in Rabbi Yeshua. And takola, what you chayish for takola, keeping something around, is machlokes tanoim. The Tanya, chavya shel yayin shel truma shenit maas, a barrel of wine of tumah that's tamei. Beishami yomerim tishofich chaval. Go ahead, all at once, pour it out. No, don't keep it around. Pour it out completely. He doesn't say the reason. He just says pour it out. Beisil yomerim tases ziluf. No. You can keep it around, and you can be mezalef it. And you see, he's not worried about what Rashi should say. That's the machlokes. Light Rabbi Beishamai, that you have to get rid of right away. You can't keep it around. You're worried about the color. Light Rabbi Sil, that you could keep it around. You're not worried about the color. I'm Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Ani achriya. I'll be machriya. This saw the tishafet chaval in the field. Throw it out. The bias taseziluf. Ikadiyami b'chodesh tishbach. If it's new, that it's not has no aroma, throw it out. Chaval and biyashin taseziluf. So Amaloi ein achroa shlishi machras. This is not a machriya. A machriya is when if Beishami and Basil would have given their reasonings, then he could have said the following. If Beishami said I'll start kola, I'm worried. If Basil says I'm not, then he could be machriya. You're worried in the house, and you're not worried in the field. But that they didn't say any reasoning. Since they didn't say any reasoning, it's a third different shita. It's not considered a hachra. We had that early in the parak as well. This whole case of what? Of it falling in the wine, in the upper wine press, falling into the lower wine press, and machlokes Rabbi Elazar Yeshua, like Rabbi Elazar, you let it get tamei, like Rabbi Yeshua, you don't. Speaking is you don't have enough to be mevatel it. Enough lepachas mimeyasa, chulin tamein. Aval nafel mea chulin tamein dibia kol terei v'titami. we know that the Inyan Bittel Midaraisa is Batal Beroiv. Batal Beroiv. Like Achri Rabim Lahatais. Batal Beroiv, majority. By Isurim, Achalas Isurois, it's Achaz B'Shishim. The Batal B'Shishim. By Truma, it's 1 in 100. By Arla, it's 1 in 200. So therefore, if you have 100 of the Tmeya versus the Truma, everyone would say, let it go in there. Why? Because then you'll be able to eat it, because the Truma will be bottled. It'll be bottled. The Tmeya, now look at Rashi. Machlekes Rav Eliezer Yeshua Shenaflu Pachas Memeya Chulin. Tmeya. Sheyesh Begas Tachtoina Pachas Memeya Chulin. You have less than 100. Tmeya. Ain't Truma B'Tela Behen. Upsid Legami. The Truma Tzarech Echad Memeya Lebatal. You need 100. Aval Hoye B'Tachtoina Meya Chulin Meya Chavias Kigoy Kamozu Shel Truma. 100 connected this one. Divya Koloi Yitama Miyad. Even if Yeshua would say you're not Tama. Hoyavle Psade the Chulin. Why? The Truma Oil Behen B'Chazi B'Mei Tuma can make Karl Azar. It would be even because the Meituma to a can be Karl like Azar. The Kohen will be able to drink it. B'Chazi B'Mei Tuma can make Karl Azar. Like it was make Karl Azar, it'll be permitted for the Kohen now. Is it permitted? Okay, after the consequence. Okay, anyway, says the Gemara. Divya called to Maldiria. Tiny Nami Hachi, we have a brisa that substantiates this. Chavia Shinishbara Begas, Hal Yoina, Vitachtea Meya Chulin, Temeya, Moidim Rebbe Eliezer Yeshua. Now that doesn't make any sense. It's the opposite round. Shemiachal Hatzim Mena Revius Patari Yatzim Lav Terevit Tama, by Yitama Biyad. Now, Hai Moidim Eliezer Yeshua, Moidim Yeshua Rebbe Eliezer Boile. I think this is going back on before. That way he said that he's moida to him. L'chay Rebbe Eliezer, it's Rebbe Yeshua's moida that you let it become tummy. So Marabba Apach, switch it around. The Funa Brady Yeshua Amalayla Moy Tabak, don't switch it around. Hachamayskin and Beklisha Toichay Tahor, the Gabe Tame. A kli that inside is tar and the Gabe is Tame. So now the Tema Nixit Noma Naga Gabe Betruma, Kemash Mulan. Let's see Rashi in the last point. The Klis Toichay Tar the Gabe Tame. The inside is tar and the outside is Tame. The High Moida Lava Sefer Koy. It's not going on the safe, Ala Resha, the Tani. If you're able to save a revius b'tayra yatzal, feel the klizeh shubola hasel revius zubesoicha. It must be the toicha is tar the gabay tame. The chiddush is that Rabbi Eliezer would be maida even though the gabay is tame that you could save. Bashmina leil Rabbi Eliezer damar ayatama biad that it doesn't let you go ahead and be matama. Nonetheless, Rabbi Eliezer maida who be maida to save with such a kli even though it's tame on the outside. The mutal hassel was there. We're not worried that the bottom is going to touch the truma. But this is all tumah derabanan. But the tumah is derabanan. Here, as I just said, the mishkachasla. So very good. So in other words, when it says over here, Moida Rebbe Eliezer Rebbe Yeshua, that you can use a kli, the chiddush is that even if the kli is tummy on the bottom, he's Moida, you could use it to save it. Hajjalech ar l'arba asa, hajjalech arba asa, hajjalech ar l'arba asa. Bez Hashem. Mitzvah Shabbos,